Good morning, I'm Tony Momberger with the Redlands Daily Facts, and we are at the Lincoln Shrine this morning with Dr. Buchanan, who has run the Lincoln Pilgrimage, which was just last weekend, for 24 of the 74 years that it has been going in Redlands. Thank you for meeting us here this morning.
Certainly.
Let's talk first about you. You're a doctor.
I have desired to be a professional instructor at a university since I was 15 years old. And at 50 years old, I decided I could go down to USC and take my first course on that process.
Really? You started getting your doctorate at 50?
50.
Good for you.
It took me 9 years. I'm a slow learner. I was teaching two different institutions, full loads, and going for my doctorate at the same time. That's why it took me a while. It's an educational leadership for community college instructors to be able to actually reach students and help them effectively learn without them memorizing.
And do you now teach at the university?
I teach at Cal State, San Bernardino, and San Bernardino Valley College.
Okay. The Lincoln Pilgrimage, this is quite an institution for families of scouts or band kids over anybody's lifetime at this point.
Very much so.
How did you get involved in it?
Oh, back in I want to say, I moved here in '85 on my second tour of duty with the military. In '86, I attended Lincoln Pilgrimage for the first time with my son and Cub Scouts, and I really enjoyed it. And over the next couple of years, I became involved with a troop here at First Baptist Church, and the leadership of that activity was a Girl Scout leader and a Boy Scout leader, Melinda Polk. In 1989, she asked me if I'd be on the committee. And I could stand down there at the Redlands High School track and guide units off the field onto the street. I thought that was fun.
Did you have any expertise in Lincoln at the time, or?
None.
You didn't need it for what you were doing?
Not for what I was doing.
Okay.
She decided to go to Europe and skip the actual event, and I became the chair instantly. Being a military officer for 20 years, leadership was no problem for me. So I took on the chair that year and for the next couple of years, and then gave it to somebody else. I tried to give it away, but it wouldn't happen. And I ended up over this last 24 years coordinating and guiding many different individuals to be the leader. So I went from being a worker to the leader.
Okay, let's talk about what the Lincoln Pilgrimage is, for those who have never been a part of it.
Well, in the United States, there's only 3 parades to President Lincoln. 2 of them back in his home territory, Illinois and Indiana. And the Boy Scouts, because of the Watchhorn Memorial Lincoln Shrine here, have a golden opportunity to be able to have something west of the Mississippi. And about the 1940, we had 100 and some scouts come from Riverside over here and do a parade. And that was awesome. And the local Boy Scouts at that time was called Grayback Council and Redlands Council. And they decided that we'll go ahead and continue that opportunity. And through the years, through the war, up into the time I came here in 1985, we continue to have Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts at it, and other communities. There used to be bands, and there used to be parades from the high school. We have all kinds of activities.
And where does it start?
It had started back, I want to say, initially over by the terrace. And then it was, over the years, moved to several different locations for the start. But for the last 20-some years, it's been from University and Citrus at the Redlands High School, what was track, now is an athletic baseball soccer field.
Okay, and they march in a parade
They march 1 mile to the Redlands Bowl, and there has been a program in the bowl for the last 70-some years. And we've had guest speakers. The National Girl Scouts leader was here at one time. We've had council leaders, Boy Scout Council. We've had school board members. And over the last decade or so, we've added something even more special to the kids. We have these Lincoln impersonators. And this has really helped out a lot to reach the kids. Sometimes we get rained out, as we did in 2009 and 2010, and again this year.
Last week, yeah.
Yes, this is just life. 4 times in the last 24 years I've had the challenge of relocating into the Clock Auditorium, which is a beautiful facility. And the attendees really enjoy it there. It's nice and warm and comfortable. It was 32 degrees outside here with ice crystals on our seats, and it was just not convenient.
So was the parade eliminated then?
We eliminated the parade for the purpose of safety and health. If you've had nearly an inch of rain on Friday, which saturated the field there at the gathering site on the Redlands High School. And then we had ice on the streets, and we had ice on the seats. It was not a safe place to have the youth and their parents march.
So let's give the scale of this thing. How many children are participating in it?
This year we had over 1,000 registered. We have had 3,000 registered. I want to say in the early 90s. We had 3,000. That was the highest that I'm aware of. But so we've gone from 105 or 9 the initial year to over 3,000. And it depends upon every year and who's invited. Next year is the 75th anniversary. And we're already started to invite individuals for this. We're not going to wait until January.
Did you do anything special this year for the Quasquicentennial?
We did. We were given the opportunity. I was coming back from Kansas City in July, having visited my dad. And Nelda Stuck, who I think many of you know, we've been long-term friends. And she hit me up in the Las Vegas airport terminal. Okay. And she and Monty and I had a nice chat about the 120th anniversary. And she asked me who in Boy Scouts would be the one to contact to be on the support for the 125th. And I told her I would look into it for her. Then I got a discussion with Shar at Burgess, and she and I are on the Street Tree Committee here in Redlands, so we had a little bit more discussion on the 125th. And then Paul Foster told me that we were going to have the 125th. All of you know Paul. He's very convincing.
Okay, so there was a patch designed.
There was a patch designed and a ribbon designed. And the ribbon design is by Pennington. It shows Lincoln, of course.
Logo. And
it has the logo of the 125th anniversary on it. So every unit that participated, I think there were 45 units that were participating this year, received one of these as a memory of what they were doing.
When you say participated, what exactly do the Scouts do?
They get to march and they come down here to the bowl and participate in the program. We have them actually up on the stage doing the pledges and law. Some of the Scouts are involved during the presentation of the flag ceremony or the closing. And afterwards, the most important thing that we're doing here is drawing in the Inland Empire to Redlands. We have youth coming in from Barstow or Hesperia that were registered this time. We had one Cathedral City unit.
Really?
One from Temecula, Corona, Hemet, Riverside. We want them to come to Redlands to see the Lincoln Shrine. So the Lincoln Shrine is open for us on that Saturday from 11 to 5. And this, even though it rained this time, we were able to have an overflow crowd over here for several hours of the moms and dads and the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts over here with their families. Some of them were downtown, they delayed. I was eating at Gourmet Pizza, and we had several Cub Scout units from other parts of Inland Empire down there enjoying lunch.
They came out here in the storm.
Yes.
Oh, that's really something. Okay, so the Lincoln celebration that we have in town is the Lincoln Pilgrimage and the Shrine Open House.
Correct.
And the Lincoln Dinner. Lincoln
Dinner is fabulous. I've been going for a number of years.
Tell me what that is.
It's an opportunity for people from all over the United States to come. This year we had about 400 attendees, a little over 400. The room was filled. And we have a guest speaker, And this gentleman was talking about the generals and how they were being used by President Lincoln to achieve goals, and how he had to go through like 15 or 16 different generals before he could get Sherman and Grant to work together to end the war. And it was fabulous. Some years the dinner has a speaker that, several years ago, we had one individual that had made a movie about Lincoln. Usually the speakers are those individuals that have written a book about Lincoln or his history. It's a wonderful opportunity to mingle with Civil War reenactors. Each year there is a beautiful choir that shares patriotic music from the Civil War. It's fabulous. And let's see, I want to say that this was the very first year Nathan Gonzalez got to be the inviter of the speaker to come up. Don Buchanan had to pass the baton, as well as Larry Burgess, to Nathan this year, as all of them were elevated in promotions as Larry retired.
We should clarify, for those watching this in the future, longtime director of the library, Larry Burgess, just retired a month and a half ago. And Don McHugh is now the director, and Nathan has moved up to head archivist. Don
was curator here and director for 26 years. And this was his first promotion, as he shared at the Kiwanis Club a week ago. He gave a really nice presentation to let us know more about the Watchhorn family and the new acquisitions that are here in this exhibit this year.
Now, Watchhorn is a big name here in Redlands.
Absolutely.
There's the Watchhorn Music Hall at the university. The Lincoln Shrine was a gift of the Watchhorns and their estate on Highland Avenue, where the Wormser family lives now, is a landmark in town. Can you tell us a little bit about the Watchhorns?
I have only read and listened to various individuals talk about his early life and how he came to Redlands, how he earned how he earned his wealth, and how he shared it with our community. I've been in the Watchhorn Music Hall a number of times for the Martin Luther King presentation for about a decade. And that is a beautiful, beautiful hall. And he and his family have meant a lot to the city of Redlands, much like the Smileys. They were of the original foundation of our city. And it's nice to see the expansion of this facility here. I remember so many years it was just the small little cathedral-like structure, and then we expanded. My gosh, it is so much nicer now.
There are definitely some treasures in here,
Absolutely.
Most of which were donated by Robert Watchhorn in memory of his son. They had been Civil War buffs, and his son died shortly after World War I, where he was injured. And he donated this to the city in his son's memory, making us, I understand, outside of Washington, D.C., Lincoln Central.
Absolutely.
Even more so than Lincoln's hometown in Illinois, people in Washington, D.C. know Redlands because of our Lincoln.
And because of that, at the dinner that we have on February 12th each year, we have individuals that travel from all over the country to come here for that dinner. It's a recognition of who Lincoln was. And we have more people attending this dinner than the other states and their programs, which is remarkable.
Where is it held?
It's at the Orton Room at the University of Redlands.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned being on the Street Tree Committee.
Yes, back in 1997, I had been involved in Boy Scout leadership for many years, and King with the Kiwanis Club here in town, I had recruited him to be our Grayback District Chair in 1995. And Ellen Weiser on the Parks Commission was very concerned because they had a $25,000 grant from the state that they were going to lose. They needed to be able to plant trees in the heritage area of the city of Redlands.
How do you define the heritage area?
Oh, I want to say it goes from about Brookside or at Eureka up through this Smiley Park and to the west about 3 blocks. It's it's the old historical area. And the grant required that you have volunteers actually plant the trees, no city workers. And that was a real problem. And she had already approached all the service clubs over the last year, 1996 and 97, and they were down to the last 45 days and they were going to lose the grant. So Ken King asked me if I could round up some Boy Scouts and see if we could take care of this project that was really a necessity. So in 45 days, we put together a project, and over 3 weekends, Dan Rodriguez from the city and I went out and drilled holes and with an auger, because this is clay side of Redlands, not the sandy side. And to put the holes in the ground, and then we had 3 weekends of boys planting 25 to 35 trees per weekend.
Wow, how many boys?
There were 65 boys, and we had 90 trees, so it was a major project. These were not little tiny trees.
What kind of trees were they?
We had a variety. If I walk down here on Eureka, I can look at the trees that we planted. I walk down through Smiley Park. I can spot them because I touched every one of those holes.
Wow.
And we had a 75-year-old friend of mine from Calamasa, Boy Scouter. He came in with his truck and we dumped in tree debris into every hole so that we would have nice material for the trees to grow into.
What a great project.
It was a great project.
That's a good story.
It was a lot of fun, and I get to say hi to Ellen every now and then, her and her husband, at many different functions.
Now, they told me when I interviewed them that they were the instigators behind the founding of our charter school, Grove, the high school here. You were involved in a school, the Redlands Christian School?
Redlands Christian School.
Talk to me about what you know about that school.
When we moved into town, I wanted my kids in that school, and after a couple of years, because I was in the Air Force and an educator, they asked me if I would be interested in being on the Education Curriculum Committee. So for about 8 years I was, and helped guide the educational program there at Redlands Christian School. That was really good. But I resigned in 1997. I figured that I was having a little difficulty trying to go teach at 2 institutions and go back for my doctorate.
Yeah.
So I had to say goodbye.
That's a lot.
But at that same time, at Kimberly Crest, I had been brought in by Steve Spiller to help out with their centennial and their dedication. So I worked with Barbara Reardon. I have to remember her name. She was one of my guest speakers at Lincoln Pilgrimage too. But I went over with the supervisors and had a nice long proclamation, as well as the City of Redlands proclamation, and the stone monument there at Kimberly Crest I helped to erect.
Really?
I was on the Public Relations Committee with Kimberly Crest at 96, 97 time frame, somewhere in there. But that's when it was dedicated.
And what is the monument?
It is a statement of the city. Well, I want to say it's a historical monument for Kimberly Crest and the fact that it was given to the City of Redlands for the people. And it's a recognized state historical site, which is really nice for our city.
It is.
As I travel around the state of California, I see recognition of various beautiful homes, and Kimberly Crest fits right in there.
It does.
What was interesting one year is some gentleman by the name of Huell Hauser came here for our Lincoln pilgrimage and filmed the entire program as part of the California Gold.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
For perspective, Huell died a month ago.
Yes.
I think he freshly...
I was hoping to have him back for the 70th anniversary, and he and I had conversed several times by phone, but his schedule was too busy for us. We were hoping for the 75th, but unfortunately he's been called.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful asset for our country.
He was big in Redlands.
Yes,
he loved Redlands.
Yes, he did.
I understand he really liked the orange juice at Gerard's and just embarrassed himself by loving it so enthusiastically on camera.
He was good.
All right. So what have I forgotten to ask you?
I I don't know. I want to say that, you know, I came here in 1970 to the Inland Empire, and I came over and I visited the Redlands Bowl a couple of times. It was really neat to see the program.
Yeah.
When I moved back in '85, my wife and I chose to live here. And we've enjoyed the opportunity of being volunteers in the community that entire time. So as I continue to teach at Valley College and Cal State San Bernardino and slowly retire, my 4th time, I continue my volunteer work here in the Redlands community, whether it be Boy Scouts or the City Street Tree Committee or whatever the City Council finds for me to do.
What's in the future for the Lincoln Pilgrimage?
We will continue as long as the scouting program, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, want to have a youth program dedicated to President Lincoln. We want to have Lincoln here this next year as our primary speaker. And we'll look forward to you coming and joining with us.
I'll be there.
That's good.
Thank you for meeting with us this
You're
morning,
welcome.
Dr. Buchanan.